I'll call to order.
Is it? Let me start the meeting. Haven't started. How are you?
Do we have any reports we have to worry about?
No reports.
Mail, phone
Recording
messages?
in progress.
Got tomatoes.
Any public inquiries?
We do have public inquiries, yes.
Roberts
Anyone here for
Boulevard,
public inquiries?
stormwater?
Come on up.
Evening.
Hi, folks.
Just state your name and address, please.
Richard Sanchez, 68 Daniels Road, Town
68?
68 Daniels Road, yes. Basically, I'm here today. I've been reaching out to several of the conservation folks back since November of last year.
Gonna pass around, that's his too, Mitch.
I have access, shared access with a bunch of my neighbors to South Charlton Reservoir. There's a right-of-way at Marcia Drive that has a stormwater drain there. It's been breached, it's discharging into the right-of-way. And I've been trying to talk to Conservation and Highway regarding shoring that up. The swale is basically not directing the water correctly towards the drain. And
Not to interrupt you, but what has Highway said?
I talked to George, he was gonna look into it, and actually I got a copy of the email I sent them.
Yeah, I have it here. It's
Does
passing
everyone
around.
has a
Yeah.
copy?
Yep.
Okay. And I haven't heard back from him. So I sent out the email. I didn't hear back from anyone from, I didn't hear back from Cheryl or the foreman. I forget the whole foreman's name there. But he was on the email that I sent out. So I haven't gotten anything back from them. I reached out, let's see, several times. In October, I emailed Angela, I talked to Mitch.
It must have been a couple of years ago.
No, that was January of this year.
Yeah, that's right.
January
This year?
of this year, yeah.
Okay.
And, it seems like it's getting blown off to me. I'm not sure I don't know what to think of it. It's not a lot of work. I'm surprised it just hasn't been taken care of.
Can you, I'm sorry to interrupt, can you just describe exactly what the matter is? I might have missed you when you started. What is,
Basically, the water from the storm water is running into the right-of-way,
from the road?
correct,
What road?
Marcia Drive.
Marcia Drive.
And it's creating a bunch of work for me. I'm cleaning it up, returning it back to where it washed out from. And it's a problem,
I had mentioned that to Jerry right soon after I talked to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is. I did mention to Conservation, I suspect one of the abutters was tampering with the road to actually make it worse. It's never been as bad of a problem as it has been.
We haven't had a year like this of rain.
I do understand that,
Yeah.
but I sent Rose and Mitch a video
Yep.
of a problem I had in 21, so it
Right.
was September of 21, where the same abutter had tampered with the discharge into the right-of-way. So the stormwater discharges midway into the right-of-way, okay? And they tampered with that pretty badly. I repaired it, working with Angela. I got, some sod, restored it to where it was. It flooded almost half of the right-of-way. It was intentional, and I believe the tampering that's going on now is also intentional. These folks are harassing me down there, and they have been for years now, and it's getting progressively worse. in 2021. There's been a boat ramp there for 30 years. You know, as the neighbors have left, I finally, a couple of houses went up for sale, so there was an empty slot there. I put a boat ramp there. I used part of the existing boat ramp and extended it out with a better section of ramp. That's when the problem started. So apparently they don't want me down there. I'd ask tonight that a violation be issued for the incident in 2021. I'm not sure if you folks have seen the video. I forwarded a video to
So
Rose and Mitch. I resent it to you folks tonight, but
So as the water goes onto the right of way, does it go into the lake? Is it,
it eventually discharges into the lake, yes.
So as far as violation goes, the issue was resolved back in 2021 by you and our director. So I can't issue an enforcement order or something that has
Okay.
happened in the past and has already been fixed.
Yeah, well,
So-
Angela had asked them to fix it.
Right.
They made it worse, intentionally made it worse.
But that has already passed, so why don't we focus
sorry?
on, but that was in the past, that was 2021.
Yeah, but
So
the
why don't we
but the
focus?
behavior has continued, Rose, okay?
Okay,
And this really, has everyone seen the video?
I have never seen it.
No.
Okay, I would ask that, everybody look at the video. These folks have something, some kind of issue going on.
But
There's
again-
been harassment over the years, and it's just gotten even worse. I mean, watch the video.
Was there anything done back in 2021, when you had the first part of the?
Mr. Perrin was supposed to fix it, and he made it worse. He went and bought this cloth, and actually, the way he set it up, he's been a general contractor, you know Ken, for 30, 40 years, his father was a general contractor. He shouldn't have been able to take care of it like that. And he intentionally wicked it out into the right-of-way. He put some matting in there, wicked it out in there. I had to pull it back up after talking with Angela and fix it properly with sod, and it was just a second incident.
so this has been resolved in the past, and I don't have any,
I would like it on the record. These
right,
folks,
it has been on the record, that's why
Okay.
Angela worked with you.
okay,
So,
I have the agreement I had. I drew up a small drawing and repaired it with Angela's help. I don't know if
Right.
you folks have seen that. I have a
So-
copy of that.
so right now, I would like to focus on the Marsh Drive.
Yep.
The stormwater washing down through the right of way into the lake, that's,
Yep, yeah, that's
That's
fine.
all.
I just wanted to make sure I
Okay.
got the point out that I suspect they've been tampering it.
okay.
If you look at the email I sent, I had seen the highway folks down at the right-of-way last year, and I asked them, listen, can you guys add a berm here across and direct it to the drain? So they actually did it. They did it. I said, I'll call the superintendent, speak with him if I have to, if he didn't want to do it on his own. He made a judgment call on what the right thing was to do, put up the berm. Mr. Perrin called the highway folks, had them knock it down. He damaged half of it on his own, and then apparently the highway folks came and pushed it back into the right-of-way. So I understand that we've had excessive water and stuff this year, but that's not the problem. I sent you the video right before the July 4th holiday, okay? And miraculously, I don't know if the town was down there or the parents were trying to make it right, but all of July, there was no sediment washed into the right-of-way. Somebody was managing it and raking it out, so like it has been forever, so it followed the direction into the drain. And I believe July was 13 inches of rain, second most in the history of July.
So what changed since July now that you still see sediments going into the lake?
Well, I think it's been an ongoing problem, and I, you know, I want to, I think it should be addressed, so, you know, it's not damaging my access and the neighbors, the access of my neighbors. I think it's a somewhat easy fix. I've offered to assist,
So your concern is not with the road, your concern is with the right-of-way?
both, yeah, I mean, the stormwater should be going into the stormwater drain.
But it's not.
I've offered to assist, apparently, from what you've told me and Angela has told me, these folks, every time I go down there to string trim the weeds so I can access the boat, and we're not picking up ticks and whatever else we may pick up as we're going down there, they're claiming I'm doing some work down there and calling you folks, you know? So, it's time to figure out what to do. I've offered my help. I've offered to take my time. There's, you know, during drawdown and stuff like that, if there's sediment that has to be removed out of the lake, I had offered Angela to do that. 2021, it really never dried out, so the water never really receded, but I'm still willing to help. I'm still willing to be part of the solution. I just can't have you guys thinking I'm doing something wrong because they're calling you and I'm trying to do the right thing. So I'm looking for help. I want to be part of the solution, and whatever help you may offer me, I would appreciate it.
Sounds like you gotta talk to the highway
So the DPW needs to get it.
Is there a stormwater violation going on?
No, it's no violation, it's just rain, water is not draining property, and sediments going down because of the amount of water, the roads are not paved, so we have that problem around many little
Well-
roads around the town.
If the town put a berm in, somebody took the berm out, that,
Right, I wasn't
Shouldn't be done.
aware of that, so clearly it's
Yeah,
work with all departments.
I explained that
Yeah.
here in the, so are you folks looking at the January 17th email?
No, I'm just saying in general,
Yeah.
what I wanted to know, because I haven't seen the property,
Mhm.
is for stormwater management regulations. What I'm trying to find out is there a violation of the stormwater?
So it is a right-of-way to begin with, and it's a private road.
So it's
So
up to
those
town.
are all things that,
Exempt.
we have to take in consideration, but however, we need to also make sure that the lakes are not being polluted.
Right.
So it's a teamwork effort that everyone has to be on the same page in order for it to work. I think what he's trying to say that he's willing to help, but again, as conservation goes, you're not allowed to do any work within 100 feet without a permit.
Yep,
So-
maintenance, right? I can do maintenance.
We can do maintenance, but it's always good to let us know
Sure. That's why I'm here, that's
beforehand.
why I'm here.
And it's a right of way, so it's a right of way. It's not a private property, it's not his property, but it's not anyone else, it's the right of way. If he's choosing to maintain,
Yeah, I mean, if he's
unless you
going
have a
out,
problem with that,
Well, if
he
I-
can
somebody's
maintain
gonna-
to a
somebody
level,
has to
but you
maintain it,
can't,
yeah.
but you can't make a change where you're going to be redirecting stormwater. That you're going to be causing problem to the lake. So
Yeah,
that's why somebody has to be part of the process.
Sure.
is that where everybody puts their boats in, or most of the people put their boats?
No,
One
there's
of
a
them.
boat ramp, there's a separate boat ramp.
All right. I do have to give Mr. Perrin,
Yeah, that's fine.
he's here, he has
Absolutely.
the right to speak if he
Sure.
wants to, on his side of the story too. There's two sides of every
Yep.
story, so,
That's fine.
okay?
So what did you recommend, Ron, to, contact DPW Highway and?
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, we are the only conservation commission in the state of Massachusetts that's been given this stormwater deal. Every other town, it's the highway department,
Is that right?
yeah. And we're trying to find out,
Do our
trying to get
best.
that the next highway superintendent has this knowledge of stormwater, so
Right.
we're, because
Yeah, I went around, I was trying to find out if there was an engineering drawing an engineering plan for when the drain was put in. George said there was not, that he knew of. I went to the sewer folks, which weren't involved in that. Apparently,
All right,
that's not their,
okay,
under their umbrella.
all right,
I'll follow up with you on
Okay.
that.
okay.
All right.
Now that we have everything, here, everyone is aware, and,
Yeah, I would ask that
yeah.
everybody
And
see
then our
that
next
video.
Right, and next meeting is September 13th, and between now and then, let's try to get everybody on the same page, meet on the,
Okay.
maybe at the same location, have a.
I mean,
And it'd be nice if some of the members could also be there.
All set?
okay,
All right.
thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Perrin,
for
did
your
you want to
time.
have something to say?
Yeah, not on that subject at all. About the sand that is continually washing in to the lake. I live at 23 Robert Boulevard, right on the lake. And every time it rains, especially this year, it's been worse than ever. The sand just goes right in.
Where's the sand starting from?
It's going in the catch basin and then continuing right down because it's not a catch basin. It's
But
only 4
but where
feet
is
deep.
the stand
It's
coming
shallow.
from?
Washing down from Marcia Drive, off the town of Daniels Road, off of Daniels Road to onto Marcia Drive, onto all our private roads, all the water from the town road comes down. And we can't take care of that. And so
It
really,
sounds like it's a highway problem, not
yeah,
a
it's a
conservation
violation
problem.
right now because
Yeah.
all the sand is running into the lake and it's making a mess of the frontage. And it's ruining my frontage, because it's all that muck and silt that's running into the lake. And the reason we took the berm out of the right of way is because it used to flow down there naturally. All that water is forced, they're trying to force it all into that one drain that's on my property. And it washes, I have 2 gas tanks behind the drain, that I put sandbags right in front, next to the drain, so it wouldn't wash out my gas tanks. So, I have to worry about this every time it rains, especially lately, when we get 3 or 4 inches at a time. And I just stand out there and watch and get ready for what's gonna happen next. So, it's been a real problem.
I don't think any of these problems are gonna get solved until we have a new superintendent,
Which is gonna be shortly.
which is
right?
very shortly.
Well, in the bylaws and everything, they're supposed to, they can fix the drainage on the private roads, according to the bylaws you have.
You can if everybody on the road agrees, because you're actually gonna end up paying for it. But everybody on the road has to sign a document that they're willing to pay for it. They're gonna get they can get the money from the state first, okay? And then that's gotta get reimbursed, am I correct? How's that work?
So the little that I learned is DPW worked with other people from different roads on South Charlton Reservoir
Yeah,
in the
right.
past.
Right down the street, which
Right.
is a smaller road than ours, and that
Right.
got paved and everything else
But
by
they
the
went
town.
through
They
the
paid for it.
process.
The town
They
did.
That
paid
isn't what
for
I
it.
heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've heard that other residents paid more than $5,200 for it, and there's only a few residents on that short road that they did, which is even smaller than our road.
So that's
so,
new information to me. I did got a phone call from John Jaganji
Yep.
saying something of that matter. So again, it's all coming in, started last week. I would like to have some time to have this discussion with either Jerry or the new superintendent. Our next meeting is not until September 13th. I think we have enough time to try to at least get a direction of how to proceed from now.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that you have trying to get a petition to,
Well, that's what we're gonna work on next, yep.
okay, so what is the petition for?
I don't know, I haven't talked to John about it yet, so.
Okay.
He just mentioned it today when I talked to him.
Okay, what I know is that the highway is willing to help. But again, the town doesn't have the funds for them to just go there and pave the roads. Could be paving Gleneco roads
Right,
and
right.
so
I
many
didn't-
roads that
we-
are going through the same,
In the bylaw, it also says that they can do asphalt to alleviate
But they
the
can't
problem,
use state
so.
money for it, is my understanding on private roads. So any funding they get from the state to do paving cannot be used on private roads, which is what Jerry told us at Lakes and Ponds, I don't know, earlier this year, maybe last fall. Because we
okay.
asked him about it too, because we were talking
Is
about
that why you
stormwater.
do the betterment then? So
we're not doing any betterment. So the
Okay.
I don't know if the only betterments I know on South Charlton were because of the dam.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I
right?
meant if they were to use those funds, I mean, somebody will have to pay for it eventually, so what he.
I don't know, do we have a bylaw in this town that has betterments that can be
Not that I'm aware.
yeah,
So that is
so
something
that's
to
something
look
else.
into as well.
I know I sent you several pictures about
Yeah,
showing
yeah.
you all the muddy water, and it's all over my frontage.
Yes,
so-
and I have them here again. I mean,
Shows you the road washout and everything else.
yes,
Yep.
and that is not the only road that is in this condition, as bad as it is, so what DPW does, you know, after a
Route
storm.
20 washed out, right
Yeah.
after
Yeah, they
Dad's
just go back up.
restaurant.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand that, but
They
this
go into-
Angela said the money that the state was gonna put aside was gonna go to our, according to her, that we were gonna be the first lake where they did the work down.
Say it again, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that, what?
Angela told me that we were gonna be the first lake to get the work done on the money that the state had to do that drainage work.
And what money is that?
The money that the state had put aside for that work, for the stormwater
State put aside
management.
money
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know anything about that.
for the town of Charlton?
That's what Angela said, it's in this, well, I don't know the exact
I wanna find that
reference
money.
to it, but
Yes, so, okay, so she mentioned there were funds
Yeah.
coming from the state,
yes,
You
and
should say
they
Route
would be
20.
the
applied.
stormwater
Yeah.
management.
Yeah,
Down by the restaurant,
yeah, just past the restaurant,
that little dip there.
yeah.
Starting to
All set, Ken?
Wait a minute, let me just get this note here, because clearly I need to follow up on that. Stormwater managed fund,
State funds, yeah.
That's what she said, state funds, yeah.
Private?
It's a private road,
I just don't know, oh, was that a grant she was referring to?
but it's,
I'm gonna have to follow
not
up
sure.
with
it
that,
does
yeah.
fall under stormwater.
That is clearly, I mean, if I knew
Yeah,
we
but
were
there's no,
receiving
like,
funds
Process to how to fix
to
the roads,
alleviate
and we have to fix
roads,
the-
that are
the-
dealing with
the problem is to
stormwater.
pave the roads.
I would know,
Okay,
yeah. But since you're mentioning that, clearly I need to find some information.
yeah, I was in the field when I talked to her, so I didn't write anything down.
Okay. I could, I mean, if it came from her, I could still, you know, contact her and ask for some clarification. So why don't we try to get everyone who needs to be involved, and hopefully by September 13th, I'm gonna have that back on the agenda, and then we can discuss what we could accomplish between now and then.
All right,
Is that okay?
I guess.
I appreciate your patience, thank you.
Does anybody else, any questions about the stormwater problems?
Thank you, Ken.
I would just ask that I be copied on any emails for the parents here regarding those issues.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
Okay, moving on.
Thank you both.
All right.
Thank you, have a good night, we'll talk to you soon.
Griffin Road?
Oh, we just missed, you moved approval of minutes.
Oh, we usually do that at the end of the meeting, so
We just need a motion to approve
okay.
that, sorry,
All right.
Tom.
I need a motion then to approve the
Just the
minutes.
June 28th.
Motion made.
Second.
You did
Second.
have a question, would you like me to address your question now?
All in
Yeah.
favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Well, you
All
can ask
opposed?
Tommy after, if it's.
Okay.
yeah.
The ayes have it. Who's up on Griffin Road?
Yeah, how are you tonight?
How are you?
You're good. Just here to talk ahead of next month's meeting, really, just to get up to speed. So planning, we've been in front of you, first off, Tom Corbett, ZP Battery, Devco. We've been in front of you for quite some time now with plans back and forth in planning board. Just been continuing here, so I just wanted to get back in front of you. We are moving forward with planning board. We've got a subdivision that's been approved, our stormwater and all that for our site plan, for our special permit has been gone through by Graves, so that's all up to snuff. The next planning board meeting should just be a formality of decision making, and I would hope to be in front of you for the same at the next meeting that you guys have. So I had dropped off revised plans to Rose last night. I know that's short notice, but I just wanted them in front of you guys so you can be looking at them ahead of the next meeting. What we did on the plans as far as changes, we had 3 5-megawatt systems prior. Now, there are separate lots for 2 5-megawatt systems. The scope of the project hasn't changed much as far as impact. Well, it hasn't changed at all in terms of stormwater or wetlands. So just the design of the system itself, as far as site plan, the planning board has changed. The measures that we're taking for stormwater are remaining the same. The footprint is nearly the same, but you'll see that it's on 2 separate lots versus 1 lot now. That was just a result of planning.
Any change within the buffer that we should be considering?
No changes within the buffer. The footprint pretty much stayed almost exactly where it was before. It
So the
shifted just a
parcel
little
was
bit.
divided into 2, and you separated the batteries within them? Is that
Correct.
pretty much what you did?
Correct, yeah. We had 3 systems under 1 fence. Now there's 2 systems under 2 separate fences on 2 separate lots.
Okay.
So really just wanted to give you that update and have you guys be looking at this ahead of the next meeting, and hopefully we can have an order of conditions drafted, or at
Yeah,
least
I'll
somewhat
have it
there.
drafted, yep.
Yeah, and be able to address any concerns after you look at the plans at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
We need to continue.
We just need a motion to continue the hearing.
I need a motion to continue the hearing.
I'll make a motion to continue and meet.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Who seconded?
All opposed?
Um,
The ayes
Was
have it.
Alan?
Yeah,
Alan was right there.
6 Gale Road.
We'll be continuing that meeting.
I couldn't hear you, Rose.
We'll be
Continuing.
continuing it.
Okay, I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue, 6 Gale Road.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Lot 4, Brookfield Road.
All right. I said,
Good evening.
good evening.
Seth LaJoy, LaJoy Associates. I'm here representing Andrew Scholes, Lot 4, Brookfield Road.
This is a right,
This project is new construction, 4-bedroom house with stormwater management. It's been an arduous task, to say the least, but I think that we've finally gotten to the point where we need to be with this. We have supplied all the information that was requested of us, and it's been approved through the Board of Health, and really don't have too much else to say on it.
Do you have any questions, Rose?
So, do you have Steven on the call for the stormwater?
I don't know if Steve is on the call or not. If he's-
What's the name we're looking for?
Steven Brissett? I thought he was gonna be here today to address the stormwater.
This is, you guys are somebody
So just to give you an idea why, so this is a single-family home, part of it is on the buffer, part is not. It would be a simple, straightforward project, but it's part of a A&R. And when you have 4 lots on A&R, DEP now requires stormwater management plan. And that's what was the holdup with the project, because, it's not an easy task to get all that completed. We didn't bring the, we only brought half of it, because I don't have the actual, the entire
No.
report.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, I don't have the hard copy, which that's fine. So they're required to make drainage analysis and explain where the water's gonna go, how long it's gonna stay, so all that beautiful thing that not everyone's very happy about it, but unfortunately it is the regulation now. So initially, what the regulation requests is to stay away from structures like this. So they, request like rain gardens that will absorb the rain, and stay away from basins, because that's a hard structure, that's what they call. But it appears, I wish he was here to explain to the commission that it was not doable on that site, correct?
It was the maximum extent
Right, so
practicable,
I
which is
just-
what is required by DEP
Right.
for up to 9 or 10 lots on an A&R. This is 5 here. So you guys' regulations are basically full stormwater management regardless. of what is going on, you know, and it's different than what the DEP requirements are. It's way more stringent than what
It's
is
cheap
required
resets.
under DEP's regulations.
So what he's telling me is that, I'm just gonna read his email since he's not here, so then the commission can understand. So, and then it came with the question is whether this is an infiltration basin or is a retention basin. So if it's an infiltration, it means that all the water that's gonna be coming from the driveway and around the entire site is gonna be into the basin and it will be infiltrating through soils. And at that part, that's why in your request, I don't have your soil analysis, because I need to know if it's going to work. And that was the comment from DEP today that I received, that their report appears to be missing about the soil. If I'm calling it an infiltration system.
It's not being called an infiltration system.
Right.
It's not.
So his response was, the basin ultimately will provide infiltration. Water will seep into the ground. However, we cannot take credit for that because the basin is within 100 feet of the proposed well.
Right.
Therefore, Stormwater Standard 3, it's not met in full compliance, but to the maximum extent practical due to the size law and constraints, with the soil. However, because we're not taking credit for the infiltration of the basin, either in standard number 2 or 3, the logs have no bearing on the stormwater reports. So he's saying that he did provide a separate analysis showing that the basin will drain in less than 72 hours, but this was to address all the environmental concerns. And I don't see a problem with that because he's doing the best he can with what he has. So today I got an email from DEP. So what he says, if the basins he used for infiltration as designed, it does not appear to meet the siting criteria established for infiltration basins. This applies to both the subject property and also to the well shown as proposed on the parcel. So they may avoid this by simply making the basin detention only. So I'd like the commission to look, it's not as an infiltration basin, but just a retention basin.
That's what those calculations that
Right.
Steve
I
did.
think, right, I think
are
the only
indicative of that.
misunderstanding was the fact that there was the soil analysis and the fact that he said he was going to be draining in a certain amount of hours, so that's where the whole conversation was. So stormwater has been updated, the report initially we didn't have it, all the information that was required. I have it that in front of me now. This is the plan, this is the basin. They're proposing a driveway here and they're adding a catch basin here to collect the water. It's gonna go under and it's gonna discharge. They are within the closest, I would say maybe 20 feet from the limit of work. Wetlands are
I
on
believe
the
the
side.
closest point is 27 feet.
What was the closest point?
27, it's either
Right, because
27
it
or
was
28
38,
feet.
but we moved the flags 10 feet, so around 28 feet. So they are 25 feet away from the border the line, the border.
Does anybody on the board have any questions?
No, I get what's going on, so.
Did you?
Yep.
That's all I can explain, he's not here, but I think, it was, as Seth said, it was a work effort for everyone that was involved, who had been working on this back and forth for a good amount of time. So I think we are in a very good place now.
Okay.
If the commission doesn't have any questions or concerns, or if we don't have any abutters here that have
Yeah,
questions or concerns.
anybody else have any questions?
You should probably look at revising your regulations, just my opinion.
So.
I need a motion to close the hearing.
Yeah, close any issue in the order of conditions.
Motion made.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Who's second? Thank you, Ed.
And I need a motion for an order of conditions.
Oh, we did it all at once.
You did,
Yeah,
okay.
we're all good.
One day you do it
That's the
one
way
way,
to do
one
it.
day you
That's
do
the way
it
to do it,
another
all
way.
at once. Thank you, Seth. I'm going to be
Thank you for
issuing
your time and
Monday.
attention
Yeah,
this evening. Have a good one.
yeah, I'll tell you when it's issued. Wait a minute,
Lot
wait.
4, Oxbow Road,
Mention it.
4B.
What's going on with Oxbow Road?
Oxbow Road, I think I need this
Lot
first.
4B, lot 4B.
This one that's cut in half? Is Oxbow Road, that one I remember?
Yeah, but I will be continuing it, so I won't even,
That's just down
All right,
below.
you all set?
Yes.
You had a drink?
we'll be
A
continuing.
motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue until September 13th at 7 p.m.
You're doing a lot of talking tonight.
Second? I need a,
Second.
all in favor?
Oh, yes, and I'm sorry, we are continuing to September 13th. Did I not mention that? I did, right?
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 28 Curtis Hill Road and New Spencer Road.
I believe we'll be continuing that as well to September 13th at 7 PM.
I need a motion to continue.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Lot 3, Prindle Hill Road.
I see a DEP number.
There is, but again, we're also going almost through the same process that we just did with Brookfield Road. It's part of A&R, but they didn't file for A&R, and I figured that out in the middle of the process, and clearly that's from Burlingame. He had filed an RDA few months ago. We issued a positive determination because there were wetlands on the site. So then he filed for a notice of intent, which I didn't have any concerns with the wetlands at all, because I already knew the location. It was a straightforward project. However, it was part of A&R that had not been filed or approved by the planning board.
So we continue
So I
this?
told him I can't,
Huh?
you have to go to planning board first, and they didn't apply for a septic
Okay.
with the Board of Health, so
So I
we're
need a
continuing.
motion to continue.
What's the location of that lot 3?
Lot 3, Prindle, it's on the same, Prindle Hill Road?
Next to Nelson?
It's on the same parcel.
Oh, the same part?
So he's requesting to build on the same parcel, but he has to divide up the parcel first. So that's where we are. So,
66 Pumpkin
We
Lane.
didn't
We didn't vote yet.
get the motion.
to continue?
Yeah, I need a motion to continue.
Motion made to continue.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 66 Pumpkin Lane.
This is actually an after the fact. We are going to be discussing the violation enforcement order at the end. So I allowed him to do the work under the enforcement order because it would just be causing more damage to the lake if I didn't allow him to do so. He didn't grade it, he stabilized the entire area, the patio had already been installed. I issued the enforcement order because I had to do that, to allow him to stabilize instead of waiting for us to have a meeting.
That's the one up the hill on the right.
Up the hill, yes, on the right side, yep. So the work,
No, it's not. That's not it. You're
Up-
talking about O'Brien's property on the lake.
66
66 Pumpkin Lane.
is on the
yes,
lake.
it's on the right side,
It's on the right side,
on the lake side.
on the lakeside.
Yeah, that's what he means.
Oh, he said on the hill, sorry.
Well, you go up the hill a little bit and it's on the right side. That's what he means. So the work has been done. It was just he had to file because he started the work without a
So we
permit.
continuing this?
Now, we will close and issue it.
Okay, I need a motion to close the hearing and a order of conditions.
Look at that.
Motion for both.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
So, go ahead.
Brookfield now?
190B Brookfield Road. Come on down.
How are you, Mike?
Living the dream, how are you?
So, I just need the receipts for the certification for the abutters notice.
For the mailing?
But I received mine, but it wasn't certified, so I just wanna make sure that. Mine wasn't certified either. So, or a return receipt.
That's what they gave them.
Let me see. Okay. You have the certificate of mailing. That's acceptable as well, so that's all that I needed to know.
Okay.
Okay, Perfect.
And that's all of them, I think
That's,
12.
so, yep, so we are set to open the meeting. I needed that first before.
Is this the pipe right along the road?
This is Michael's, in front of Michael's service station.
Yeah.
Or right in front?
Yeah.
Right in front, yeah.
Bike by it 1,000 times.
So just to give a quick overview, so I have an enforcement order that was issued to him. A complaint came in that trees are being cut between, near the wetlands. And after a site inspection, I noticed the following: a berm had been built in and encroached into the wetlands. And at the same time, at some time around, a truck crashed.
A truck that
into
was delivering donuts for
donuts.
Dunkin's.
Yeah.
Crashed into the pole, was right into the wetlands. So the truck dove in right into the wetlands and damaged the pipe that goes under his driveway
Yes.
into a culvert across the street. So I said,
But the
well,
pipe doesn't go all the way.
not
It's
all the
just
way.
like-
Yeah, it just collects some water that drains from the wetlands into the culverts. So at the time, I explained to him, since you're filing for either permitting or removing the berm, you might as well file for the
Fixing of the pipe
fixing the
and
piping.
the driveway
Because
and
whoever
the
who is
landscape.
gonna fix it is gonna need the permit, because it's right,
It's so
in
close
the
to
wetlands.
wetlands, so.
Right. So he is here now to address that, but we don't have a GEP number. And,
Do you have an engineer? Do you need an engineer?
no, so,
No, I haven't
Make
gotten,
different guys.
Yeah,
Don't-
no,
Oh, no, I
I
haven't.
hate to have you guys spend
Pretty
money to do
much-
something and then go,
pretty
"Oh,
much,
so good."
all I'm trying to do is like with the berm, was control the water that comes from the Jennings properties.
Yep.
And my butters.
It comes right down our
comes right
driveway,
through the
makes a
driveway.
big rut.
Very well aware.
And I'm not, like, I know, like, I should've got the permit.
He
I
wasn't
should've
aware
went
of
through the
that.
proper
Yep, yep,
channels,
yep.
cause I didn't know it was so close to wetlands. That's my fault, my bad.
we,
That's why
we
we're
are.
here, and I'm
Yes, he
trying
has
to.
been cooperating. He filed for the notice of intent. Have you sent it to GEP?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay,
mailed it
perfect.
out.
So a
I mailed
number-
it out the same time I
Yep.
mailed yours out.
A number has not been issued yet, so I spoke to GP on that because they did receive the enforcement order, and the berm must be removed. It just can't be there. So I don't know if you'd like to discuss, since we opened the meeting,
I
whatever you'd
was
like to do.
gonna see if I could take out like 20 feet of the berm that's closest to the wetlands over there. I'll take 20 feet out, leave the rest of the berm, and I'll grass seed it to control erosion, and then I'll put, I'll plant what are they called? Abrevieties?
Arborvitae.
To,
Yes.
go up for the trees that I took out.
But you're proposing not removing the entire berm?
Not all of it. I was seeing
We're
if I
still
could
trying to control
remove,
the
I'm still
water.
just trying to control it and not
But we're gonna grass
just with
it.
the berm. I'll grass it and get the wattle or whatever, put it behind the berm and just the proper things, because whatever Jennings did when they built the houses, it's probably eroded or gone away by now, because those houses were built 11, 12 years ago. So I'm just,
That wasn't a problem before he started up there, huh?
no,
No.
because those
So,
properties were just
I have a question for
wetlands.
you. Did you notice where this water is going now, that you have the berm there?
It goes where it's supposed to,
Where?
into the drain.
Down the road.
Across.
Because at the low spot at the bottom of the hill,
Right.
There's a Sibley Ponds to your left if you're heading out towards Sturbridge. That whole wetland area at the bottom of the hill, since the Jennings, because her and I bike by it all the time, did that work, the water levels, it's been, and I know we've had a lot of rain, but
Was
not
the
just.
Jennings, you mean the subdivision that he?
Well, there's also, when you go past, there's that cleared area that's nothing's been done with it for.
He is in
Right
process.
passing your, right
Yeah, that's
passing your.
past us, yeah.
Yeah, it
I'm just trying
that
to-
road, especially when that soil, there's not much growing on it, when that soil gets hard and wet, it's almost like pavement. And then when it pours, some of it seeps down on a lot, some of it sheets down onto Brookfield Road, down the hill along the bridge, Brookfield Road, wears it out, and then it goes whoop, down to that wetland that feeds into Sibley.
That's about the only way you have to protect that property there.
Yeah.
That's what I figured, if that's okay with conservation and everything, because I'm
Do we
not
have some kind of a
trying,
plan or a drawing or anything?
Uh,
I can have one made, if
No, you
possible,
have
like,
to use the one that is.
the one that I have, that's fine.
You submitted
I
to
submitted
the-
one
So,
to her.
I'm just, clearly, it's the commission's decision, it's just, I
Yeah,
need to just
I'm not-
look into the regulations as far as the burn goes, because it is
It's within
Blocking.
wetlands.
the natural course of, so that's what I heard from DEP. So, we're gonna
Is
be
the
continuing
DEP
the meeting anyway, so
Is the
maybe we can.
DEP gonna pay for my driveway?
Is
well,
I mean, he's trying to protect his.
Right.
I know,
I'm just
brother.
trying.
But we need to follow the regulations, so, I mean, he has been going on that.
Well,
Wait a minute,
we have to follow the intent
Right,
of the regulations. I mean,
That's-
if we have
that's-
to bend a little bit to say.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
catch-22, because if you stop,
well, I wanna
I-
make sure
I understand
where
what
the
you're
water is
saying.
going,
Right.
because if everyone decides to build the berm to redirect stormwater,
Yeah.
that stormwater is gonna go somewhere.
Each one will be individual.
Right,
Right.
so what I thought it was, since we're gonna be continuing anyways, it wouldn't hurt for maybe me and maybe one or two of you to go there on a rainy day and check what this water, where this storm water is going, because the last time I won is now the neighbor comes say, hey, I didn't have this water running here, and now it's run, cause that's all what I hear every day. My neighbor built the barn, my neighbor changed the grade of the yard, I didn't have this water coming here, it's flooding my basement, so we need to be very careful when we redirect stormwater. That's all I'm saying, so,
It's all messed up too because of the accident.
Yeah, and I
Right.
haven't been able to
And
get the
just-
pipe
just
fixed
a big-
because,
Water.
right.
It's just all
So,
water.
because I need to get the permit since it's so close to wetlands.
The pipe culvert is crushed.
Oh, no, it's
Oh,
gone.
no, I
It came
can,
right out of the
I
ground.
can show you guys
Yeah,
pictures.
it came from the ground. I actually have,
How big a culvert is it?
Yeah, you,
yeah,
18.
12 inch
I thought it
diameter.
was bigger than that.
no, it's not a gigantic pipe.
That's
You're right, just-
well, relative to 3-inch,
Yeah.
6-inch.
They took out two big pieces.
Yeah.
I know, I was, thought when you did it.
Divert the water to go into
I couldn't believe it.
Here we go, here's some pictures.
Oh, yeah. Saw that.
Yep.
see if we can get a couple of people to go out and look at it, make sure that,
I
okay?
just wanna make sure that this water is not going where
I
it's not
understand
supposed to.
completely, we
Because
don't.
then we're just creating a problem for the
Somebody
next
else.
2 months, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna have somebody here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated wetland system, because what goes past
Yeah.
Burial ends up eroding along the road and goes down into the wetland that feeds into the city.
Right.
Right. So, and he is within the 100 feet, so I have the plan here, and that's why he's here, because he'll need the permit to either remove half of the berm.
Needless to
Yeah.
say, I just need to figure out how to get a
How
permit.
many feet of the berm was you gonna leave?
Trees going uphill.
So Brookfield Road
And
here,
how long
this
is
is
the
the
berm?
pipe broke right here,
The berm right now
So
is
this berm
70
is-
feet.
all the way here, encroaching.
If we didn't have the berm there, the truck would have taken out my my mobile unit, my garage.
Well,
It would
that's-
have came
that's not-
right through.
But that's not what they're talking about right
No,
now.
I know what he's saying,
Yeah, but
but,
it was a lot.
But if I put
Yeah.
abrevieties there, it's gonna do the same thing.
right.
Yes,
So I was thinking about taking out 20 to 30 feet of the berm that's closest to the wetlands, and then maybe
So this
do
is-
like
so
You're going
Jennings
up
is,
there.
Jennings is right here.
Yes, this
just
is
silver
going up.
water
Yeah.
or whatever.
This is down the corner, yeah.
Yep.
Can you take a look at this?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Talk
we
to you.
I'm there Monday,
Reschedule day
Tuesday,
Through
Wednesday.
Saturday.
next
Yeah.
Does
week.
the berm have to be that high, or?
Ideally, I would like to, and that's why I would like to put the abrevieties like on top, because I have
On top
noticed
of the
it does
berm?
bother my neighbor's like sight line,
Yeah.
because I know like you don't really, you move to Charlton, you want the boonies, you don't really want to see a garage, so I understand their standpoint, that's why I figured if I do abrevieties or some kind of like that net that you would get for the driving range, that blacked out net, so that you can't.
Well, I see an arborvitae would stabilize soil, and
Right.
if it's not too wet for
Did
that.
you say you put it on top of the berm?
I'll put it wherever.
Put it wherever you want.
On top of the crest of the berm, in the middle of the berm, on the back of the berm, the front of the berm.
They'll grow anywhere.
Yeah.
Like whatever I need to do, I know it bothers my neighbors to look and see.
The
You
garage.
could probably flatten that berm off a little
Yeah,
bit.
that,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it more presentable when
Well,
I get,
figure out what to do when you walk.
Yes, we're gonna be continuing anyways, because we don't have a GP number. So
Right.
until then, we cannot touch, we cannot do
September
anything.
15th.
September 13th
13th.
is our next meeting.
Okay.
So between now and then, we can, it would be nice to be on a rainy day for us to, maybe when I'm ready to go, I can give a call and say.
Well, since it's already like washed away, you're gonna see it.
Yeah,
That's every day.
that's every
Rainy
day,
day.
yeah. That shouldn't be a problem. Now, I know we have a butters for that.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yes.
see if they wanted something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Michael.
Probably because they watch the microphone.
Well, I can yell.
Oh, I know.
You know I can yell. Hi, I'm Linda Fayford. My property abuts his. Okay, my concern is this
I'm
pipe
sorry,
that's
can I
going-
just have your name and?
Linda Fayford.
Yes.
Is that
And,
gonna drain the wetland? Or is it gonna protect the wetland?
I'm sorry,
The
what?
pipe he says he's gonna replace
what was it
There will
doing
be no
before?
change, the pipe was
Yeah.
there before.
was there before.
Correct.
Okay, he cannot encroach on 100 feet of the wetland. Can he build on that?
Okay, there is no encroach on 100 feet. 100 feet is a long space, you don't.
That's correct.
So,
So you
the
can't go
regulation
within.
says any work within 100 feet of a wetlands or a resource area requires a permit.
Correct.
So he did the work, which is the berm, without a permit. So I stopped him, I issued him an enforcement order, and I requested him to file for a permit.
Okay,
And he has done that.
that's correct.
My initial conversation with DEP was, that I heard from them, is the berm should not be there because of the wetlands. If you were to put a fence around areas like that, you need to give space for creatures to go back and forth. A
Okay.
berm doesn't allow for that to happen. The berm can also be diverting stormwater, which that's a big concern.
Okay.
So now that we understand what his intent is and what he's proposing, we're gonna go look a little deeper into it, and then the decision will make the commission will make a decision in the next meeting.
Okay, so-
If they wanna be it, when you people go up there, they can.
Yeah, she abuts to the property, so
Yeah.
I would actually ask permission to walk into your property, because we probably will be seeing better from behind the berm
No problem.
where the water comes from,
Okay,
so.
no problem.
Thank
So
you.
is he going to restore the damage that he's done? I mean, he's taken 3 of our trees.
That's why I was gonna plant the arborvitae's and plant more trees.
He's,
On
That's-
our property?
I will if you like.
Okay, I have no problem with that.
Right, that's no disrespect, that's more of a civil
All right.
matter.
yeah.
Yes, that
Mm.
is.
Okay,
Well,
Any other questions?
we did talk to him about it, and we told him, don't take any more. We were very kind about that.
No, right,
We did it.
don't mean to be callous, but that's
And
not our jurisdiction.
took was a dead
was pretty dead, but I understand.
Okay, so
I
property
understand. I
lines,
still-
it doesn't appear,
owe them a tree, we understand.
it has nothing to do with our board, so that's
Okay.
okay. So, any other questions?
But
Can
you
answer?
will notify me when you're gonna go on to the property?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, very
Yes,
good.
especially if I have to walk into yours.
Oh, that's no problem.
Okay,
I need a motion to continue.
of course. Thank you for your
I'll
time.
make a motion to continue.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 89 Cranberry Meadow Lake.
I don't see a DP or the RDA.
Have a good night.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
I
Lot of stuff
am
for
really
an
lucky.
RDA.
Thank you, have a good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Can I have that enforcement order back? So I don't
Enforcement
get lost here.
Chop, chop.
Chop.
The old nuns.
She's got rulers over there, so look out.
Okay. Craig,
You need the applicant.
he's
I am.
the applicant.
Craig
Go
Walker.
ahead, Craig,
All right. I
present
just-
your project.
Oh, for a project is a septic system, which is been approved, and then a deck.
Is that this
Grant.
job?
But I don't have any, I think the last one I had.
So initially, he filed for a septic system. He's abandoning the previous one, which is in front, near the lake,
Oh, that's right, okay.
and he's
Right, it was-
installing it, the new one,
In the front.
in the front, so he's like 90 feet or
That's
so.
pretty flat down there.
Pretty flat, yeah. And then he decided
Oops,
to include the installation of,
A basketball court.
Too short,
A deck.
of a deck.
yeah.
And the reason I put in the RDA is because he's gonna be utilizing the sonotubes.
No, the tactile metal post,
Doesn't require any excavation, you just drill in it and it's elevated, so there is no disturbance to the area, which is already disturbed. So unless the commission has any, concerns with that, I think a negative determination would apply for this
The
project.
conditions.
The new system's further away than the old
Conditions,
system,
yeah.
right?
Excuse me?
The new system's further away.
Oh, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, right, it's in the front.
All right, anybody on the board have any questions? Anybody in the audience have any questions? I need a,
Negative determination with conditions.
correct. I need a motion for it. Second,
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Why
I
not?
never heard of
Opposed?
I thought it.
The ayes have it.
You read my mind.
All set.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
talk
you
to you on
both.
Monday, yes, okay.
All right,
What was that motion you made?
I said, she didn't hear me say it, I said, I thought it, Tom read my mind.
I was like,
Tell
did
us-
you speak?
tell
Because
us-
I did not hear your voice.
certificate,
Where
certificate of compliance, 320 Southbridge Road.
Yes, recommend a complete certificate of compliance was submitted back in 2010 for a French drain, works completed.
We need a motion on
13
that.
years later, yes.
Yeah.
A motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 320 Southbridge Road.
Thank you.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Extensions, 4 Sturbridge Road.
Yes,
128-1588.
that's for Nichols. His order conditions is close to be expiring, and he still needs to do the wetland replication, so he's requesting a 3 years extension, so he has the time to do so. I need a motion on the extensions.
I need a motion.
Motion to extend it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Encouraging you
The
to
ayes
second.
have it. 182 Gould Road.
This one I'm gonna have to pass because I have a little issue with the, it was an amended order conditions from a previous filed order conditions, and I'm not quite sure what to extend here, so
Do we
we're
need a
gonna
motion to
move.
pass?
No,
I mean,
I'm just gonna pass.
Conflicting order of conditions.
Conflicting.
What's the road? DEP 128
This
1505.
one, we need to discuss, just give me 1 second, please. I hope I have it here. This is for Ken Kozowski. So apparently he pulled this permit back in 2014
Who was it?
for Worcester Road, right near your shop. Worcester Road,
What's the address?
Kozowski.
Kozowski, well, it's before.
That's next door to me, yeah.
Yeah. So he pulled the permit back in 2014 for just grading. So I don't know what he's building, what he's doing.
Is that the CPA firm?
The what?
I
The
feel
one
the
across the
commission.
street from you?
Oh, no, it's on the same side, right next
It's
to.
on the same
Where the
side.
sign is.
Yeah.
Okay.
He owns the sign.
Yeah, so anyways, he filed in 2014, and apparently this has being extended. So he came back and said, I haven't finished, I need another extension, and I asked him, what did you file for? He couldn't tell me, and I said, what are you planning on building? He couldn't tell me, and I go, it's almost an acre of disturbance, so I need to make sure he's not in trouble with, more than an acre, you need all the stormwater and all that.
Is that on the high side?
It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know what
Up
he's
there.
doing.
So I don't know how you can
Yeah.
extend it.
So that's the thing, and they found the plan that he filed back in 2014, and he has a massive wetland, replication. So he's working in the wetlands, and he filed to replicate them. So it's up to the commission if you want to extend it, but if you do extend it, the only thing I was gonna request is to make sure that I get a wetland scientist there to make sure that the space or location of the wetland replication is being,
What, right, what?
it's being, saved.
Yeah.
Because it's very wet, if you wanna
I know
pass
the
around.
property,
Yeah, so I don't mind, we have been extending it since 2014, but I have never known or been there
You use it
before.
as a fill-in or something, does the little
Yeah.
work up there once in a while.
Yeah, is that,
What it is?
Yeah,
Yep.
And then you got that little, like a DPW area looking thing.
well,
right?
his place is between mine and the DPW.
Okay.
okay? Yeah, I'm not aware, I'm just concerned because it calls for wetland replication, and I have never been there before, so I would like to have someone to just look at the replication area. And then I'm fine extend, so I will extend, but I would like to need a motion, need a motion
To continue?
no,
Conditions.
to extend it, but
Okay.
under the conditions that our wetland scientist will go to the site and will verify the replication, whether it's been done, whether it's still there to be done, or, I just need some clarification
Yeah,
that which he
okay.
couldn't give it to me.
It's a work in progress.
Right, yeah,
That makes sense.
makes sense, that's all, so
I would
then
make a motion to extend.
extend,
Second.
and,
With a condition.
With the condition that you verify the
Wetland
replication.
okay. Is that the motion, Mitch?
Yes.
Okay, I wanna make
Second.
sure that you're okay.
All in favor? All opposed?
All good, I think.
Where are we?
Violations.
Violations.
Oh, my God, okay. We're there.
Enforcement order, enforcement order,
I need
enforcement
a
order.
sip of
I'll
water.
be back in a few minutes.
Yes. 59 Pumpkin Lane.
That's you guys?
Take a,
I didn't recognize the number.
I thought we were gonna be calling, zooming in, Mark, with your knee surgery.
Forgive us for calling out the
Why
wrong
you didn't
house
zoom
earlier,
in?
didn't mean it.
Yeah, I thought you'd be like eating a nice popcorn and just watching through Zoom.
And I eat popcorn sometimes with this meat.
Maybe next time.
More pictures?
Chocolate,
Okay.
like-
Yeah, these are, in case you haven't seen them or haven't had a chance to see them, this is the email that I sent to Rose on the 26th
Yep,
of
pass
July.
around.
And pictures.
I think we.
So just a second though, before we do that, we have to ratify the enforcement order, so let's not discuss that yet.
Do we need Tom for that?
Yes. So
Wait.
we're gonna have to pause for a second, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Well, we can read the email while we.
Oh, yes, go ahead, just no discussion.
Go.
Just wait for Tom to come back.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have to ratify the enforcement order first, and then we can discuss it.
You have to ratify the enforcement order.
Yeah, so when I issue an enforcement order, I do so because of the circumstances, but the commission must ratify on the next public hearing, so they need to sign them.
Okay.
So I need to go through that process first before we discuss any further.
Okay.
It's just protocol, we'll be right there. We'll be right with you.
Do you want us to identify ourselves?
Sure.
I am John Colignesi. I represent Prindle Lake Association. I'm one of the directors.
Richard Watts, I'm one of the directors. I live at 68 Pumpkin Lane.
Mark Colley, I'm also a director of PLA. Please drive.
Welcome back.
So, on July 19th, I issued an enforcement order to the Lot 2, Pumpkin Lane. Runoff happening again into the lake. DP was involved, our fire department was involved. So I issued the enforcement order, and I had some conditions that he had to do so in order to ratify the runoff. Before we discuss that, I will need the commission to ratify the enforcement order. pass around the signature, so, and sign it. I don't need everyone, but do you have, I send the pictures to everybody, the video for all that, right? Okay. So part of the enforcement order was, well, I guess I can read it when it comes back here, but it was to clearly, have a certified wetland scientist to look at it,
Sediment.
the sediments, and come up with the report. So,
Let me see this.
August 4th, okay.
And that's the report you guys reference.
No, so he hired Ecotech, Art Allen, to go to the sites and do a first evaluation. And here's Art's report following that evaluation.
Have they done any work up there recently, or?
No, so they had not been working, the area was not stabilized, and when the rain came, it
Have we
washed
heard
out.
from Mr. Santos' son?
So they are in the process of, the state and all that, so right now, as of right now, the site is stabilized, the driveway is stabilized. I was able to work with DPW, Jerry met with us on the site. He actually had the entire road swale cleaned, and Gene worked with him to just add some stones to filter any other sediments that would come out of his site, which hasn't happened. I think as of right now, that site has been more stabilized than ever before, and there's no construction scheduled to start. I think what our friends are here for is that they disagree with the assessment from Art Allen.
So
And
this
that's
swimmer is there much sediment out that
email.
far?
That's
Yes.
part of
yes.
that, it's in the,
Yes.
yeah, it's in the notes.
I
Yeah.
was swimming in the lake. If you'd like, I could begin my presentation.
Yeah.
It'll.
3.5
finish
to
some
4 feet of sediment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to start by saying the Prindle Lake Association owns the land under the lake. And the quality of the water and the condition of the land under the lake are our primary concerns. On June 28th, we came to your meeting to inform you that since July 8th, 2021, for over 2 years, sediment has repeatedly flowed into the lake. I'm sure you remember this. You issued an enforcement order on July 19th, and in Part C of that order, it says resource areas are to be returned to their original condition. And there were 2 attachments to that order. The first attachment to the enforcement order, in Section 2, Item 5, it says, "The South Charlton Conservation Commission reserves the right to impose additional conditions as needed." We were heartened to see that.
I'm sorry, can you, can you read that again, John?
It says, "The first attachment to the enforcement order, Section 2, Item 5, it says that the Charlton Conservation Commission reserves the right to impose additional conditions
Correct.
as needed."
Okay. For some reason, I heard South Charlton, I apologize. Okay.
And thank you for that.
I was like, did I write the wrong?
The second attachment is titled Subject Erosion Control and Wetland Impact Evaluation. That came from a consulting service. We have no issue with the erosion control portion of the report. However, we feel that the wetland impact evaluation did not adequately assess the damage to our property. For 2 years, repeated downpours created streams of water that looked like chocolate milkshake rushing downstream into the lake. When the stream hit the lake, the velocity of the water stopped. The heavy particles settled out of the sediment, out of the water, and created a mound of sediment right at the entrance where the stream came into the lake. But the finer particles were carried out by the current in a plume up to 150 feet out there. And we have videos, several videos, that show that plume going way out into the cove, into the water. The consultant's report only mentions a mound of sediment where the stream enters the lake, and there is no estimate of the size of that mound in the report. So it leaves it up to the contractor to determine what the remediation, and the extent of the remediation. He has no numbers, it is not quantified. He said simply, there is a mound, that's it. The report did not mention the 50-foot wide and 150-foot long deposit of sediment that Janice Gallagher, one of our other directors, who is a strong swimmer, and I, who is a weak swimmer, found by swimming in the lake with a pole. When you put your foot down in the sediment, it feels like you're standing in tapioca pudding. It's very hard to get your footing, and I was wearing a life vest, fortunately, but she did a lot of swimming. So what we did to produce those pictures that we just passed around, I stood in one place at the entrance to the dock at Peter Capuano's house, who lives right there. I stayed in one place and I took 3 pictures. One approximately 50 feet out where Janice was poking with her pole. She found 3.5 to 4 feet of sediment 50 feet away from that mound that was mentioned. Then she went out about 100 feet, poked down again, and there was 2 feet of sediment out there. 150 feet out, she's still finding it. It's a deep section of the lake, but there's about a foot of sediment out there too. 150 feet out into the lake, and the width of it is anywhere from 50 to who knows how wide. And the report done by Mr. Allen from Ecotech mentioned the mound, did not quantify the sediment, didn't give any indication of how the plume affected and built this, I don't know what to call it. I wouldn't call it a sandbar, I'd call it a mush bar. It's soft and gooky, and it's awful. The kids haven't been swimming in there because it's terrible. I tried to get out of my kayak at one point. I fell in the water. I said, how am I going to get out of here? It's awful. So,
How deep was the water at the location of the 4.5 feet of sediment?
that was close to the lake, and I would guess that it's about 5 feet, 5.5. It's
So there's only about a foot of water
mound
above the
is-
sediment now?
the mound was, they removed the mound, I think. I haven't been on the property, but I
He
did
said it used
notice.
to be able to go up to his waist, and now it's like it is ankle deep.
But can you walk on the
No,
sediment?
you can't walk
You
on it.
can't walk
That's
on
the
it.
thing. You can't walk on it.
So this
So-
was Art's Allen response to their
Email?
assessment, yeah.
Who was the engineer that looked at it? Ecotech?
No, Art is not an engineer, he's the wetland scientist that
What-
Jane is required to hire
Yeah.
in a case of runoff.
He's the one that said there was just a pile at the mouth of the entrance to the lake.
Yes,
He did a good job
Well,
as
he-
far as going up and checking out all the hydraulics and everything coming down the hill. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. He just didn't go in the lake. He went 3 feet into the water, that's it. Janice went 150 feet into the water.
Were you with him?
No, no, Rose asked us not to be there for some reason.
That's last year.
I would have gone.
Do you wanna
I
read
would
it
like
aloud,
to have been
Jackie?
there.
would you mind?
Sure.
Yeah, so she's gonna be reading Art Allen's statement
Sure.
after reviewing yours, so that way
Okay.
we all know,
I'd like to.
for the record, just,
yeah.
you know, that's from Art Allen.
It's an email from Art Allen dated Friday, August 4th. Hi Rose, attaches my report on stabilization status and completion of sediment cleanup at 59 and 60 Pumpkin Lane. I also reviewed the Pond Association's documentation of sediment evaluation as well as their criticisms of my evaluation. The sediment we removed was at most 4 inches deep, overlying leaf litter and root-bound organic mats. As I documented in my prior report, I observed the pond bottom within the cove extending at least 40 feet out from shore and my photos depict last year's leaf litter as well as coarse sands and gravels with fish nests extending across the cove. The Pond Association's letter indicates that I went into the pond only 3 feet from shore. I believe that I went further into the pond than that, but regardless, the letter fails to reference my photos showing pond bottom conditions extending well into the cove. I also looked at the watershed for the intermittent stream and note that it is at least 26 acres in size, including a significant portion of Pumpkin Lane on both sides of the culvert under Pumpkin Lane. There have clearly been other areas contributing to runoff in the stream over time, and the cove of the pond is where any sediment carried by the stream could be deposited. Acknowledging that Jean's lots have had significant erosion issues, it is my opinion that the bulk of the sediment resulting from erosion on Jean's lots has been captured and cleaned prior to entering the pond, and that the relatively small amount of sediment that did enter the pond has been removed to the extent practicable. Let me know if you have any other questions or concerns. Art.
Thank you, Judge. That was Mr. Ray. So that was his response.
Art was measuring the sediment on top of last year's leaf infiltration. It sounds like.
That's,
What's the date of Art's?
No, what he says,
August 4th.
Does that mean, leaves are draining in there?
4 inches deep, overlaying the leaf litter
yeah.
and wood-bound organic mats. 'Cause, I mean, every
He's saying it
year,
was only 4 inches deep,
right,
but they've got pictures and measurements that it's worse than that, farther out.
Right.
See, it doesn't say what that 4 inches is.
he's saying that, I observed the pond bottom within the cove extending at least 40 feet out from the shore.
I wonder how he did that, because he also mentioned that the water was colored with tannins from the leaves. And we know that our lake is not the clearest lake. This is not Winnipesaukee. This is Brindle Lake, and it's not that clear. I don't know how he could see 40 feet out.
Yeah.
You can't see 40
Well, he was in
feet.
the water, wasn't he in the water?
He didn't say how far he went out, did he?
No.
He said he went beyond 3 feet.
Well, 40 feet is quite a ways.
It certainly is.
Yes.
I've
I
never
don't think it's
seen,
the length of this building right here, but we're sitting in right now.
Yes.
That's probably, yeah.
Maybe.
That's this
Yeah, he
is
just
50
says he
feet.
believes he went farther out than 3 feet, but he doesn't say how far out he went.
Problem is, the lake is so shallow, it gets so warm, that you get a lot of bacteria growth and everything else. That's why the water's not clear at this time of year. I don't know how you can see 40
The
feet,
leaves
'cause
are-
I can't see the
This,
pond.
the length of this room is almost 40 feet.
I'd like to
No,
know how
he's saying he
inspected
observed the
that.
pond bottom within the cove extending at least 40 feet out from shore. So he then would imply that he went out about
Where's
40
his
feet from the
pictures?
shore.
Well, he has pictures, so let's
Were you there that day, Rose?
I was not there.
I was not either. I was asked not to be there.
So because he was not hired by the town, he was hired by Jean.
Yeah, I should have
Well,
gone
that-
like
yeah.
kayak.
I don't,
Is there a conflict of interest with that? He was hired by Gene, who is Santos people?
there is no conflict of interest. He needs to hire a professional, so our Alan's a professional, so
He's pretty reputable.
very reputable. I mean, he worked for DEP for sediment and erosion control, so everybody did their job. I told Jean to hire a professional, he hired a professional. I mean, you're not agreeing with his report. That doesn't mean that there is a conflict of interest there.
Well, maybe the fact that we've come here for 2 years, we've come to meetings, and have explained that this sediment continued to be put into the lake. Now, all of a sudden, he's
That's just a
saying,
picture.
after 2 years, and the amount of rain and runoff that we've had before they actually fixed it, that there was only 3 feet, a little bit, that they took a bucket and cleaned it out, and that was it.
They drove a Bobcat type of machine. I was there when they did the cleanup. I didn't go on any property. They brought a Bobcat type machine. It had tracks. It was a different manufacturer. And they brought it down to the end and they cleaned it up and pulled it out with that machine and put it on a trailer and drove it away. But
Half an hour.
It wasn't
It doesn't show the
wasn't a
lake,
big amount of sediment that they took out of there. And Janice Gallagher wanted to be here tonight, she
Doesn't show
couldn't
the
be
lake,
here.
though.
She wanted to,
Does that? Doesn't
as
show
in
the
her
lake.
words, she
Just
wanted to
shows
testify that she
entrance.
had her feet in this sediment out there. 50 feet, 100 feet, and 150 feet. I mean, she's not making up stories. There's junk.
I don't think anybody here is doubting that,
There's junk in the
Yeah.
you know?
lake.
So,
Okay, well then, let me move on to my requests. I request that the report that I handed you and the photos that I handed you be brought into the record of today's meeting. That's my first request. My second is, we request that the damage to Prindle Lake be fully inspected and quantified. In other words, how big is this plume that's out there in feet? Never mind, okay, we got fish nests on leaves. I mean, I'm sorry, this guy's a professional. He did not do his job. And we request that the commission add further requirements to the enforcement order that specify how to remove the sediment that has been deposited in our lake. You may have this copy, by the way.
Sure. As
So-
far as the commission to specify how to remove,
Well,
we
maybe
cannot
they-
do that.
Maybe you need to hire a professional to
Right, well,
advise you, I
if the
don't know.
commission choose to, they can say that, you know, since you're not, contained to the result, and you believe more sediments is there than it's believed to, go for a third opinion.
Yeah.
Hire a
Given-
second,
Given the new
That's in
information
effect
provided by
what
the
my
Lake
question is
Association.
asking.
but again, at whose
Coming
cost?
from more places.
So that's what the commission has to decide. So he's asking for you to add to the enforcement order and say, I understand that you have complied with the enforcement order that has been issued. However, we don't believe that the cleanup was sufficient at this point. We are requesting you to hire a second opinion and provide information based on the new report that has been brought to your attention.
My
Or,
position is you don't need to be a professional to find this muck. You just need to be willing to
Well-
go in the
We,
water.
sorry.
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm getting
I
excited.
understand what Rose is saying, because with all due respect, we've worked with Art for a long time, we know Art, we also know what your guys' concern is, so now we have one opinion in one camp, a drastic opinion in a different camp. I'd feel better with having a third person that's had nothing to do with this up to this point, come in and look it out and say, how much sediment it is and where did it all come from?
Who's gonna pay for it?
That's right.
right.
That's the good question.
And that's the question that the commission has to decide it. And again, you need to take into perspective that there are other sources of runoff that I'm not saying that no sediments came from his site, because that has been clearly since day one. But have they accumulated, and what sediments came from his site, what sediments came from others, you know, source of runoff, and bring all that into consideration. How can you prove that the sediments that are on the bottom of the lake hasn't been there before, or has been coming strictly from his site? So it is,
The sediment that we found has a very different feel from other parts of the lake. If you read that text that I sent around, you'll see that Janice put her foot down. She started 2 lots over and put her foot down, felt the bottom, felt the bottom, felt the bottom, got closer and closer and closer to the cove. When we finally went beyond Pete Capuano's dock, she said, wow, what is going on over here? And she started feeling this stuff. It's a very different feel in that section where that plume is than the rest of the lake.
what
The rest of the lake
section,
isn't
what
hard.
section, right where his cove is?
In the
Yeah.
cove, actually, you know where Racine's house is?
Yes.
It goes closer to Racine's house than from Capuano's.
Oh, okay.
And it's very easy to stand on Capuano's beach.
Because I
and
was
look.
gonna say, you know, the wetlands that eventually washed down from the runoff a few years ago, that we had floating vegetation. So that all sunk at some point, so that's what I'm trying to make sure that's not the area, because she would feel a difference of the bottom of the lake,
We're
because
talking-
all that has sunk.
That's not the area?
We're thinking tapioca pudding is what it feels like, not leaves.
I don't know what tapioca pudding tastes like.
It's-
I know what it tastes like, but not what
You
it's
gotta
like to walk
feel it
on.
with your feet, it's not nice.
Maybe we can bring, let's bring some tapioca pudding last
Comes
minute so we
through
can
your
all.
When you walk in it, it stirs all
No,
around and.
we-
and
we understand that.
it's
It's
colored.
fine sediment, very fine sediment is what
So
it
did
is.
that person walk on that before the sediment got
Yes.
there? Walk in that area? So, I mean, how soft was it before? I mean, it could be sediment from
Right.
It
a
is
long time
debatable,
ago.
right?
that
Right.
never
You can't
discovered.
Tom has a
have a
good point, who's
complaint
gonna
about
pay for the third?
Oh, yeah,
We
and
have.
I mean, can you enforce that?
So that's a
Like,
report from Ecotech, according to his report. It's not,
I don't think he went deep enough.
Because I don't know what we have
He didn't go in the water.
for a fund, conservation itself,
Oh, we can't do that, because if you,
conflict of interest.
yeah, we can't do that.
we have
Have
to
a
go by-
runoff
we have
in
to go by
every
what
pond, we're gonna
what
be
that
paying
said.
for, yeah.
What kind of, any idea what his bill was?
He's the
Did we
professional.
ever see any of that, or did we went to the
No,
other person?
the professional is hired by the violator, not
yeah,
the town.
okay.
Thank you, I'll keep that. Yep, yep, yep. Can I have his paperwork that he submitted, please? So I can put it all together.
Yeah, all that.
Thank you. Okay,
So they could hire their own wetland person.
they who? Anyone can hire
Print-
anyone.
Right, the Prindle Lake Association. could-
If they want to, they own the bottom of the lake. They didn't hire a professional, but they had someone with swimming experience to analyze that, and they came up with the report. Is it a wetland scientist report? No. But it's still, it's something that they're alleging to be there. So only a third party now could make the decision, or the commission could say, I agree with the report from Ecotech, and we're not gonna go any further than that. So it's entirely your decision.
Or you could find someone who's willing to go swimming.
Well, it's
Very
not,
easy to find,
It's gotta
just
be a
mark.
professional swimmer.
right, we wanna, for that to go anywhere, we need to have professionals that's gonna go there and is gonna come up with not just swimming, but analyzing the soil and,
Did you wanna see if your association wanted to get
But
somebody to
can
do
I ask
it?
a question? 2 years ago, we didn't cause this. As soon as they started putting these houses up, and all of this sediment ended up coming into the lake, that's why we came here 2 years ago and said, it's coming into the lake. Between Angela and Rose, they saw that this was happening. It took 2 years, but they rectified it. But everything that's in our lake now was caused by Santos's property. Whatever should be done should be paid by them. We didn't cause this, they did.
That is something I can force somebody to do. I can't force them to write you a check to do it. Maybe it has to go to court, I don't know. Hey, you have any thoughts? I would say it's a legal matter then.
Doesn't Arthur insinuate there that some of that sediment may be from other areas besides Santos?
I don't think he insinuates, I think he states
Some of the
it.
property
Yeah.
owners,
I will say that after the July, I believe it was the 19th meeting, or that the next day when it did rain, and I went out and I sent you pictures to show the water that ran off from everywhere around there was crystal clear. There was no milkshake color in it. There was,
Right.
yes, could leaves come out of it? Yeah, I'm sure there's leaves in there from other areas. But none of those other areas in all of these heavy downpours have had any of this sediment in it. And I took pictures of the water coming down from the other side, I took pictures of the main flow
That's right.
coming in from the hills behind, I took pictures of the opposite hills. There is not, everything is crystal clear. There's no way that that's gonna go in and build that kind of sediment in there. I just think that whoever the
Am I
ecotech
passing it to
person is,
Mitch?
there's no way they
That
look
answers his
into the
question.
code, even though we have videos
It
of
just-
it staying
it
all the
just
way
sounds
through the
like-
code.
At 4 feet deep, as big as that cove is, I don't know how
I
many yards
highlighted-
of sediment that could be.
To me,
Should be
because that was
150
the
yards of
question he
sediment.
asked.
I mean, I know.
Your question that you asked, I highlighted on the paper. That's Art's answer. You
Where
just
the-
asked
where
the
the arrow
question.
When we started coming here a couple of years ago, when you guys started to take
Other areas
action,
contributing to the
ignored it.
runoff in the
That-
stream.
They're saying that the water
Yeah.
is so clear.
I remember
Right, but that's what
Mr.
he's saying,
O'Malley
that there wasn't
saying
any
we
sediment in
should
those other areas.
start charging them $25 a day
Years.
for what they're doing, and they haven't fixed what you people already told them to fix, and they ignored it.
They ignored it and they kept working. You put a cease and desist, they kept working. They never put in the proper, this is on lot one now, they never put in the proper stuff to
Oh,
stop
law
this
one
from
was,
happening.
law one was very
Until-
disturbing.
Yeah.
You started finding them daily.
But that's part of the lake. That's what ended up in the lake.
And then lot
Which is
two is the
lot
same
one and
or
lot
worse.
two.
And then, because they didn't end up paying the fine, they did some program at
So
Baker's
just
Classroom.
go back for a second though.
The same thing.
Law
happened again.
one. Well, Chris, for law one, I'm just asking you because you were involved for law one. They did have the lake cleaned up, didn't they?
You gave them an
They claim
enforcement
they
order,
did.
Let him-
August
let him-
21, and they did
I know
take
there was a
something out.
report from that.
No, they, you told them to, but they never did anything.
They did the same
No, I
thing.
had a report saying that it was clean, so I just wanna go
What,
back
is
on
it from
that.
them? The report
It
from
was the
them?
same thing they did this time. They did the little stream, they did
I was
that
down there one day.
pile in front.
That's it.
And nobody went into the cove, even though they saw all the videos, there was stuff going into the cove. Nobody went in and looked.
I'm just going back because you mentioned,
They told me they went into the cove.
Unfortunately, nobody,
somebody
What
none
they
of us
said and
here were
what they
there
did
when
are
he
two
went
different
to look,
things, though.
so we don't know exactly how far he went, you know?
oh, I only have
Hello?
one issue.
Hello, excuse me. This is Tom Racine from 60 Pumpkin Lane.
Hi, Tom.
For a minute?
Yes,
Hi, Rose,
Tom.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Both situations where they only cleaned, the property. They
Okay.
they never went and did anything at the bottom of the lake. The sediment, the videos that were taken a couple of years ago and even earlier this
I'm
year
gonna run to the
show
office to find
rooms
that
of,
report.
of the silt going 100 feet out into the cove, and none of that was ever addressed, none of that was ever cleaned.
Tom lives right there,
Yeah.
and he's retired, he's there all the time.
She just went to go find the report.
All we want them to do is to clean up the mess that they made. That's all. No more reports or anything, just, you know, they know what they did. Just go in and clean it up. That's all we're asking. All we want is the bottom of our lake back to where it was 2 years ago before they started all this.
I don't understand how that plumes out.
It would be very easy to replicate that test. Just have somebody stand at the entrance to the dock and say, okay, swim out to there, swim out to there, swim out to there, and poke down, you'll find it. It's there.
Well, how are you gonna feel it if you poke with a stick?
You could,
Because it's like tapioca.
you'd be surprised. I did it with my paddle 2 days ago, and I put it down. You got no resistance, then you got this mushy thing. And you really push it down, you finally get something solid. But you can feel it.
I wouldn't wanna stand in 4 feet of that stuff, you might not get out.
Well,
No,
it-
you're right.
It's only 4
Exactly.
feet where the mound is, but the plume went 150 feet out into the lake, and it just kept flowing for 2 years. We've been talking about this a long time. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah,
It would have to be several hundred yards.
I know it has,
Sediment.
but it was from law one.
That's the pictures, you wanna put them in the same.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know, what are we doing?
Well, from what I can see is, I understand what you guys are saying, you made it very clear, but then we also have a report from Mr. Santos's wetland guy saying, this is what's done, this is where it's at, which is contradicts what you guys are saying. So if we go in through an enforcement order to say, you've gotta clean this up, he just hands this report and says, this says I'm fine, take me to court. That's basically what we can do, take me to court, prove it.
The reason we're here is because if we don't say something, that report will stand. We have,
I
we
understand.
have reason to believe.
Well,
that
we
that
can't go
report is
call
false.
Arthur Allen incompetent.
No.
Right, he's been coming in and out of these doors for a long time.
You don't need capital letters after your name to find the muck. I'm sorry, you don't need to be a
You do in
professional.
court,
Maybe you do in court.
and that's where this is headed. We can't issue an enforcement order if we don't have verification that that sediment
who's gonna make the motion
came
to
from that
accept that?
property.
Report.
So
We
the-
have,
if-
we have a report that says, yeah, this is what came from the property, this has been cleaned up, according to that person. And I understand where you guys come from and say, we don't buy that report,
Because we're seeing more.
because you're seeing this and this is what you're seeing. So us as a commission,
You could, under the enforcement order, if the commission chooses, you can amend the enforcement order requesting for it to be looked further. He can come back and sue the commission or the town because he has a report from a specialist saying that the work was done according to what has to be done. Or he can and hire somebody and do the process, but he did what the commission requested was to hire someone and he's a professional, so it can go any direction. So we're just discussing the,
Has the association tried talking with the Santos people at all? One-on-one?
Gene
He
was
should-
at the last meeting, he and I had words going back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know how much,
he should have been here. It would be important for him to be in this conversation.
I'm not quite
because-
sure how much pull Gene has with the, now that John's gone.
Right, but the enforcement order was issued to him, not even to Santos. So, I think he should,
Why was that? I don't, that
because he's the
surprised me.
violator,
Yeah, because he's the one that's doing the work, right?
yeah. So,
I guess I don't understand, if Santos hired these people to do the report, how is that not a conflict of interest?
I don't.
That they actually
So
paid this
Santos
guy
is
to
not
do the
even-
work?
Santos is not even part of this.
Didn't he pay
And
for
the man
that?
is
The
not
guy-
even longer here, so
No.
I feel uncomfortable even talking about it. Gene is the one who was in charge of the site, so he allowed the stormwater runoff to occur.
Hmm.
So I issued an enforcement order to him. He hired a professional,
Which we agreed to last
which
meeting.
we agreed to, and that was the report, and that's the end of it. If you, like, your neighbor had a violation on his site, he hired somebody to do the work. I can't tell him, well, that's a conflict of interest. It doesn't work like that. He can hire, he has the right to hire anyone who he wants.
I'm
and I mean-
I'm not quite sure who pulled the building permits up there.
Jim did.
John does pull some of his own building
No,
permits.
no, Jim did.
Jane did.
Yep. He was actually in my office when he came to pick it up.
The
Well,
first,
he's not building anything because right now everything came to a house, so nothing's gonna be.
the first enforcement order was addressed to John Santos.
It was.
And the second one was to Gene Treadway.
Yes.
And yes, I have spoken to the Santos boys. I went to John's memorial service. I've knew him
Yeah.
since 1970-something. And his sons were in school with my sons. My son came from Greenwich, Connecticut to go to John's funeral. I mean, I know Kip Santos, I know Jay Santos. Jay's a physician out in the west coast somewhere. Kip is, I believe, is a civil engineer. He lives in Vancouver. And he told my son that he's not gonna be back here until April and just stop the
Oh,
project.
April, wow, see?
Yeah.
It's gonna take-
Well,
So when-
That's
we're not
why I
gonna be
made sure
talking-
that the site's 100% stabilized, which you must have seen that it is. The stones has been put in, hydroseed has been in, the swale has been cleaned.
Everything we asked him.
It looks like
everything.
they diverted the water to go back away from the road. I can tell there's a ditch up there. I haven't been on the property, but I can see it from the road. It does seem like it's more, I won't say stabilized, but more stabilized than ever. You never know till we get the next downpour.
which we have though, we haven't had any.
It wasn't that big, not like we've had in the past. We've had like 3 or 4 in a row in some weeks. Anyway, our concern is the lake.
Could the association talk to Jay possibly and see if he would go a little further and into, have somebody investigate a little further?
You mean have him hire somebody, pay for it and get an opinion?
Or hire, get a second opinion. I mean,
I don't, what's it?
I'm comfortable with,
Yeah, every-
again?
with Arthur's plan.
He won, it's only gonna cost us
We
more
have-
money.
I'm not comfortable with Arthur Allen's report. I want to go on record
No,
saying that. because
we
I-
noted,
I guess I said that enough.
we got the
We have
gist.
to, we have to go.
Sorry, I made my
It's
point.
about all we have right here right now.
That's what we
Yeah,
have.
well,
He is basically, has been for a long time, our guy to go to.
well, isn't it
So
possible
if it
that,
just wasn't just in a matter like just, then I would say that the second party would then hire somebody to contest this report. Right? If it wasn't a conservation matter. Isn't that how, so what I understand that how you feel about it, hiring someone to contest that report because you didn't cause the violation, and I see that,
we didn't?
and I understand how you feel about it. So
You're
that's
saying
where
we should
we
get
are.
a lawyer.
Oh, I'm not saying anything.
No.
I'm just, we have one professional report versus
The
your
first-
report.
The first report was made by Ecotech by a different person. This was made by Arthur Allen from Ecotech. Seems to me that, maybe I'm being cynical here, but it seems like he wrote a report that gives the commission an easy way to sweep this under the rug or into the lake, if you will.
When this guy
That's-
did
I
this
mean,
report, was there
We
anybody
kind
there
of feel
with
that
him,
way.
witnessing what he was doing? You weren't there? Was this,
Well, no,
was
I'm
not
Angela still
required to
around?
be there, no.
I was asked not to be there.
Yeah, we were told not to go.
So,
We don't
again,
trust the
he's a
report.
professional, so if you don't trust your response, I would say hire somebody else and see if they'll come up with a different report.
And he-
Or, the commission has the right, if they want to enforce that. I mean, you can go
They
any
gave-
direction.
Someone gave Ecotech permission to go there, correct?
Yes, Tom allowed him to go on his
Okay.
property,
And Pete Capuano.
Pete Capuano allowed. I mean, just can go any direction, it's really the commission's discretion to vote or not vote, or.
I guess we should have given him permission to go in the lake, because we own the lake.
Well, the sediment was on the lake, if you,
It's in the lake.
if you
in the lake.
didn't give him permission, that he couldn't do the work.
He never asked me.
He never went in the water.
I should have been there.
He never went in the water?
That's
We
what,
could
that's what
have
Pete
water.
Capuano says, he did not go in the water.
Even though
And I
his
don't know
email
if,
said it
if,
went up to 40.
Tom, do you know if that guy doing the test went in the water?
No, I did not see him go in the water at all. He was just walking along the edge of the water, where the brook goes into the lake. I want to say one other thing, that, when this first started happening a couple of years ago, Scott, I don't know his last name.
Oh, it's Scott Morrison, yep.
From Ecotech came down, and one of the things he said that's always stuck in my mind, he said, oh, it will dissipate. Well, you know what, I'm not a scientist, but it's not sugar. I don't know how sand and dirt like that dissipates over time. And it's just continued to come down over these last 2 years. You guys all know that. You've seen the videos, you've seen the photographs. And nothing has ever been done. Both cleanups that they did were just shovels and scoops into 5-gallon buckets, and they dumped it into a bucket of a small backhoe. That's all they've done. And nothing to clean the bottom of the lake that I've seen and I've watched when they were here cleaning.
They would have to get a permit to dredge,
If they go farther out, yeah, if they use.
I believe.
Well, that's irrelevant, is,
Yeah.
I guess what the problem is now, who's doing it. So,
I mean, can we go back to Art and just ask him some basic questions, like how far out did you go? Because we're getting information from residents that say that he didn't even go in the lake.
I think he addressed that in the email. He's
ask him how tall his waders were?
He said he did a visual.
I mean, but we're going around, with all due respect,
He's-
we're going in circles, because
Yeah.
you got your version, he's got his version.
So we need
You
a
guys
third
can keep hitting
opinion.
us with your version all day long, it doesn't change the fact we got a different version. So we, at this point, to change your opinion, my opinion is we need a third person to go look at it and say, how much sediment is it, where did it likely come from?
And how far out is
It
it?
would probably be difficult right now, too, to have the Santos people have Art come back in, because they're not gonna be around for a while.
But you'd have to be a different person.
Yeah, no,
Well, I mean, just to have Art explain what he did to us, I mean, for us.
No, I understand that,
He did.
but my
But he
guess is,
did.
my guess is
He
even.
didn't do it for us.
no, we did it for Gene.
Right, but my point is, no matter what Art says, they're not gonna accept it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
He's gonna
that's,
say- I mean, he did what's in the,
right,
We
I
have to
don't
go
disagree.
by, we have to go by this report.
So if we had an Art Allen-esque type person bring us a report that says, no, this sediment came from here, and this is what's gotta be done, that gives us different ammunition to say, okay, now we have something to issue an enforcement order. Right now, we don't, from why I see it.
Right, I agree.
So that's why I think we're
Is there
going
any, who else is qualified to do that?
You know anybody
gotta be.
The initials.
back there? No?
God,
No, I'm not saying you, I just know if you knew anybody in the circles.
No, I mean, Art's the guy. He's
I know nothing.
You need someone who's got it is CSESP is the qualification, certified, scientist for erosion and sediment protection,
He-
forget what it is.
Yes, Art is, yeah.
He's probably got it, but I wouldn't go to him. CPE,
we know that.
I don't know, I forget. I looked up some of these people, there are a bunch of them around. I don't imagine they're cheap. I have a feeling Art's got a professional reputation to protect, and he is banking on the fact that we're not gonna spend the money to challenge him. And he's giving you an easy out, and it just doesn't look good, I'm sorry, that's how we feel.
Well,
It's not an easy
and
out.
then you have the option of hiring somebody to,
We do.
I think that's where we're gonna end it tonight.
Yep.
It's up to you guys. We can't do no more at this point. So, you've gotta make a decision, discuss it with the rest of the people on the pond. I mean, what's it gonna cost? How many people live in the pond? Or how many will donate? Let's put it like that.
That's a better way to put it, it's more like 48.
How many?
48, it's a small lake.
I mean, what can his bill be? I don't have no idea what his bill could be, $1,000? I don't know. Why don't you get an idea of it from somebody,
For-
your
for peer-
person?
For peer reviewing an application that comes to me, he usually charges $500 for a simple application, so that's the only number I have in mind.
That sounds like a great number, that would not be a problem, but I have
Yeah.
a feeling it's.
Should- if I-
Why don't you get a price from somebody
If
to
an
do it?
application comes to me and I need peer review and I send it to him, usually $500. I think the highest he has charged, boy, that was a solar field, it was $1,200. I have never get an invoice from Ecotech higher than
I don't think we're in the 10
$1,200.
grand here, John.
Yeah. I think
So
that-
why don't you work on that end of it, okay, because we're at our end.
So
all
you're
right.
telling me there's nothing you can do and nothing you will do?
No,
That's
just-
what it is.
you just said two different things. There's nothing we can do.
Okay,
We didn't say we weren't gonna do anything.
okay,
So now you're, okay?
all right, so you're saying, I guess.
It's up to, I think,
Suggesting-
unfortunately, it's in your ballpark now,
I'll say.
all right?
Seems to me the town of Charlton bears some responsibility here for allowing this to go on for 2 years. We've been in here for 2 years talking about this, and it has not been addressed properly. It's been addressed, but not properly. So you bear some responsibility here too, I'm sorry. It's not necessarily in my ballpark or my court, or call it what you want.
It is now,
2 years.
it is now.
It appears we have to take them to court, and if we win, we will sue them. And they need to know that ahead of time. It'd probably be a lot more than them just cleaning out the lake. But John's right, 2 years is way too much time. I mean, we've spent probably as much time here and here as you guys have.
Well, in 2 years, we've given them several cease and stop work orders. They've had their engineers down there cleaning up a couple of different times. They've tried.
You can't really clean up if you don't go in the lake. And they never went in the lake.
You definitely cost them some money, I get that. They didn't go in the lake.
Roger,
That's why we're here. We're not property owners that are waterfront property owners. We
That's
we
Tom.
represent the
And Tom
bottom
told
of
you
the
that
lake.
he watched the guy never went in the lake. Oh. All right, we're not going any further.
Well, we have to do something here.
Yeah, I gotta move on, guys,
Yeah.
okay? This
Yeah.
gentleman's in the back, he's been waiting here all night too, and I don't mean to
So
throw you
are
out the
we-
door.
are we-
I think you
are
know
we-
that.
You guys,
are we keeping
are you guys
things-
gonna investigate hiring your own person?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah.
So you want us to put you on the
Do you
agenda
want
for the
this
next
back on the
meeting?
agenda
To see
for
where,
September to,
Yeah.
Put us
yeah,
on the
we-
agenda, that's
yeah,
for sure.
and make sure that
We'll get in touch with you if we find something.
communicate with me if you choose.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry we can't cure all of your problems, you know?
Be careful,
Only
Roger,
one
it's
we'd like
dark in
solved.
there.
We'd like the sediment removed from the lake. It's that simple. One problem.
Continue talking to you. I will continue talking to you from now until September.
Please put us on the agenda.
Yes, we'll do. So let me know what the association decides to move forward. I'll guide you guys.
I got a couple other things, I don't know what you're here for.
Probably the next one.
City Depot subdivision? Is that you?
Enforcement order on City Depot
Oh,
Road
jeez, when I
subdivision.
found my night was over.
Huh?
I have
Are you involved in this deal?
Well, yeah, I have an opening statement at first, but yeah, I've gotten involved.
He has,
Drag,
he
kicking
has
and screaming.
planned to be involved. All right, again, before we discuss,
Need to sign it?
July 18th, massive runoff from the site. GP was called, was on site before I was even there, so I had to follow up with enforcement order. We just need to ratify that.
So you've been dealing with DEP?
EPA.
No,
EPA
EPA,
too?
yeah, he was
Where am I
dealing with
signing
it.
it?
Is that-
Oh,
The
I'm sorry.
EPA?
Is that the day the town went down to clean up City
So
Depot Road?
because
No, that was after that.
because GEP was involved, once I issued the enforcement order, GEP knows that that's over an acre and contact EPA. EPA contacted me, so now I've been working with EPA almost daily on reports, and as we all know, it's difficult to have things done with Jay, but he's getting there. I have been warning him, you need an EPA permit, you should have an EPA permit, do you have an EPA permit? I have my permit, okay. He didn't have the permit. So, and that's when he
So
hired McClure.
what did the EPA throw on your lap?
So, Chris McClure, McClure Engineering,
Hi,
first
Chris.
and foremost, hey.
Who is it?
I know I'm an easy target, but don't shoot me.
I was gonna hold
We're not
it back.
shooting you.
Come on up, Mr. Allen.
We're not
Don't shoot
shooting
the
you, I'm just
messenger.
wondering what pile of poo the EPA threw on your lap.
Yes, so we weren't involved with this project at all. We weren't
Right.
the design engineers,
Yep,
just
yep.
for the record. We got called in when it got elevated. We just received a signed contract, so I can give everybody a background. Right at the beginning of August, we submitted a EPA NIFTI's, the construction general permit, online submittal on the 4th of August. The EPA was out for a site walk on the 7th, and Rose was there. They issued a report, I think is probably in the record.
Yep.
We
Did I give you
completed
the report,
the
EPA report?
stormwater pollution prevention plan document. We finalized that on the 9th. We did our first, now you need to get certified to be inspector. Jay has told us that he's gonna take over those duties. We did our first inspection on the 14th, and we submitted that report for the record as well. So,
In short, what are we doing?
in short, he's been out to, he's hydro seeded. I got some photos of hydro seeding today. He has told us that he's removing 2,000 yards off the hill. He's making the slope less steep. He's taken, Peter Engel from my office has gone out and he took a full report of the site and made all these recommendations. And Jay is working with his engineer to get these recommendations onto prints, and Jay's working to basically.
So it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Sorry, Tom, how are you feeling about the stabilization at the bottom of the slope?
It's, like, I only drove by the site like you guys did up until 2 weeks ago, and I would, obviously that site we knew, well, anyone, that's a tough site, especially with this summer, so, it's looking a lot better. So he's, again, he has to, so that's where he's at. He couldn't be here tonight, so, he's sent me, so. So I was just there before I came to the site, before I came to the meeting tonight, and, he's doing what he has to do. It's just gonna be some, it's a work in progress.
So what is it that he's doing with the slope?
He's making the slope less steep.
He told us he was doing that the last time he was here, I believe.
Yeah.
Hydro seeding and
Hydro seeding with.
any blanket down or anything?
He does have he's got the hydro seed in behind the newly constructed, the finished houses. That's all painted. Across the road in the woods, that's all been painted. And then he's gonna be finishing the diversion swale at the top of the hill, close to the tree line. He's saying that will be done by the 26th, so.
When they hydro seed on a place like that, what do they use?
It's a wood texture seed mixed,
But what is the seed?
I don't know the mix on it.
Because I would think that would make a difference on a hill as can be, have somebody do
Oh,
their
yes,
lawn
it's
like
something
this here.
different. It was per plan. Jay
Yeah.
Du Bois, when he designed the plane, that area should have been stabilized years ago.
And he's gonna have a swale at the top.
That's what, diversion swale up at the top to take that water off, so.
Is
All right.
that temporary, or is that something that it would be?
I think that
amazing?
was in the design, they just didn't have it
I
in.
think that's permanent, the swale.
Yeah, it's kind of basically take that first little rush of water and take it down into the, the stormwater management area, so.
All right, thank you for coming in.
Sure, and Jay is gonna be taking over, there was some rain yesterday, I said, you gotta get out there, you're taking over these inspections. We were taken on for the SWIP report and to get him into the permitting system, so we've done what we do. We'll support him as much as he needs.
Allows.
Yes, exactly, so.
And the EPA's been getting the reports, obviously, and the documentation.
So
and all
they
that.
don't request reports unless they come to visit the site. I'm requesting reports because I need to make sure that he's doing the reports.
Sure.
Because EPA gave him the choice to take a testing, pass the test, and then do his own inspections. And that, of course, makes me extremely nervous, so I say I need the reports to be submitted to me
Sure.
as soon as they're done. But it's my knowledge that he has not taken the test yet, has not passed the test yet, so therefore he's not
Right,
qualified
right.
for it.
Obvious question, we know you, we have a problem.
Sure.
It's just we don't want the DEP coming back or whoever in a month
Yeah.
saying, what the F?
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are supposed to be doing this. We still got, whatever, 8 yards of sand going down 31 right now.
Yeah, they outlined a bunch of corrective measures that he has to, he has
He
no
has to
choice
do,
but to
yeah.
implement
Okay.
those. And
Yeah.
we told him unequivocally, he's in my office all, every day now, but,
Yeah.
it's,
He's here every day
just-
too.
Just get it done and forget about, you can't argue at the point now, it's too late.
Right.
That's one of the toughest lots I've ever seen in Charlton.
Me as well, I'm glad he didn't call me on that design, because I would have had to respectfully deny that one.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all set with Brookfield Road, correct? We've already gone through
Yeah,
that?
you just need to ratify the enforcement order,
Okay,
which I didn't
all right.
do, and the same for 66 Pumpkin Lane. They both filed for the notice of intent, so.
Feel you. I feel you.
Did he take down the trees? Does
Who?
anybody know?
on that property up on the hill, so that he can reduce that slope?
I don't think any trees
No.
have come down, no.
No.
Because I thought when they made that presentation, he
They
said he
were
was
going-
taking down 50 or 60
Yeah, it
trees
was-
in order
no,
to
yeah,
drop
because
that.
all this, everything would probably have come all down.
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't-
sure the roots
Good
of the
night.
trees are holding that to some degree.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had said, I remember him saying that there was a way up and around, that he was gonna take trees down. I was like,
Do I have
Yeah,
a
there was
motion
way
to
they could drive
adjourn?
around.
Do we do the
Howard Mason?
all new business?
No,
No.
I don't think, no.
What is
Is
old
it-
business?
is it the way you call it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so. I
So,
didn't-
but
we
we
don't-
to me.
we don't have all members, we can discuss it, but we wouldn't make a vote because all members should be present and have represented.
Whatever you wanna do.
Yeah. Tom, do you wanna go to the last item?
Yes.
I motion to keep Tom as chair.
I think Tom is ready to. We can discuss it if you'd like to, but to make any motion, I would think that we should have a full board, and we have a member missing. But if you wanna discuss it, Tom, it's up to you, you're the boss
for now.
tonight.
Well, it don't make any difference to me.
Well, you
If
got it
it's-
down to
if it-
about a science.
If no one else wants it, that's fine. But if somebody feels that they can do a better job, I have no problem with that at all.
I don't think it's the question's a better job.
No, I didn't mean it like that there,
Yeah,
but, you know, if
You mentioned
somebody else,
that you might
you know,
be
if the
feeling
board
like
wants to take a vote on
stepping
it.
down.
Is there anyone
One way or
else
the
here
other,
that would like to put
somebody
their
else?
name in the hat?
Yeah.
Hat, name in the hat, yeah, I said
We
that.
can't vote on it,
No,
but tonight.
she just said that.
Yeah, we can vote it. I just don't wanna vote it because we have a missing member. And I think first, since we're reorganizing it, should everyone be present?
That's fine.
Yeah, no, we can wait.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
problem.
The reason, Tom, the reason I put it out there, you mentioned that you're maybe feeling that it would be time for you to step down.
I couldn't hear what you said.
You said it was maybe time to be
That's a
stepping
possibility, yeah,
down.
but if it's, nobody else wants it, I'll do it. But I'm 80 years old. I don't know how much
And-
longer I'm
and
gonna be around.
On nights you can't make it, Ed jumps right in like a,
Well, no, I offered it to be the member,
Yeah,
Oh,
only because,
while the whole board's here. Rob Lemansky called me today.
can I just, since it's not on the agenda, can we just,
Adjourn?
so we're not discussing
Yep.
the reorganization tonight because we're waiting for all the members to be present?
no, but he did ask if anybody was interested.
So I know Ed's interested in being the chair. I don't know if anybody, we don't have a vice chair because Skip left.
Yeah.
So would anyone be interested in being, vice chair?
Do you have to have both?
Yes, you must have a chair and a vice chair.
Yeah.
Would you wanna stay on as vice chair?
No.
No.
No, and if you're interested in being the chair, then that's fine with me.
So maybe we can vote next meeting.
Yeah, if
Excellent.
everybody's here.
Okay.
I
Make a
mean, I've
motion
been
to
the chair
adjourn.
for 30 years,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so you were on when I came on, I've been on for 45.
So they will be you, they would be you then, because it was Skip, right? So who is after you? So it'd be Mitch, that has been here the longest?
I think so. I think you're after me.
After Ed,
After,
yeah.
and then after Mitch,
It'd be
it would
Ron.
probably be you, Ron,
It
right?
would be Ron.
So then you clearly, you just came in. So if we're looking at vice chair, if you are to step down, and if he is to be the chair, would be looking at vice chair.
Would have to vote, Ron would be good, but it makes no difference. It's just that I'm gonna miss a few meetings coming up. I've got some major surgery coming up.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be out, 6 or 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks.
Well, okay, well, we don't meet until September 13th, so.
Then you can still go on.
Be doped
You
up.
wanna hit me?
Last time I went on.
Sorry, go ahead. You wanna adjourn and talk about Lewinsky?
All right,
I want to make a motion to adjourn.
okay.
Second, all in
Second.
favor, all opposed,
Aye.
hasta la vista.